Hello everyone, today I'm looking at Star Wars Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast. I mean, first off, right off the bat, I just have to come clean that this is probably the most confusing series titles. I think it started with Star Wars Dark Forces, and then it became Star Wars Dark Forces Jedi Knight, and then the sequel is called Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast, and it's all over the place and really jumbled. But that's fine, because we still are playing as Kyle Katarn, and so in this series, basically what's kind of occurred is Kyle has been brought under the tutelage of Luke Skywalker, and basically now he is a Jedi. And so aside from having just normal blasters, you now have a lightsaber, which we use later in the game. When you first start the game, Kyle's kind of, I guess, turned away from the Jedi or led a new life. I've never actually played the first Jedi Outcast. I think I'd like to eventually, but I feel like this game is really kind of more about the gameplay, and this is a really well-made game, really great aesthetic. And so in this game, Kyle Katarn, he's still, a rebel spy trying to defeat the remnants of the Empire now. This is kind of after episode 6, and so again, Luke Skywalker does show up in this story, and halfway through the story, actually, Kyle goes to Yavin 4 and does his Jedi training again, gets recertified, and gets his lightsaber back, and then things really start to kick off, and they get really, really cool. But I really like this whole kind of half game thing where you are simply just another mercenary, another guy with, an arsenal of weapons, and then at the halfway point, you just switch gears and go onto this spiritual journey and, pick up a lightsaber, and now you have this extra piece. And so the basic premise of this game is there are new Sith now that are trying to destroy the New Republic and the Jedi Order. I think his name is Deshawn or Devon, who is essentially this dinosaur-type race of Sith, along with his female apprentice, who confronts you on Bespin and a couple other places. So yeah, you'll go to a lot of kind of mining planets, Bespin, Nar Shaddaa, and Yavin 4. And actually, Yavin 4 is the final place where you actually confront the final fight. And it's really funny how as the story goes on, and once you get the lightsaber, you just end up using the lightsaber more. And it really changes the character of Kyle and how he perceives the world and how you perceive the game world as well. Because it's like, well, I can just deflect everything. I might as well do that, right? Along with the lightsaber, you also get a series of lots of different types of force powers. You can learn everything in this game from, force push and pull to force lightning and all that good stuff. I think what people really notice this game for is that it has a very dynamic battle system, especially with the lightsaber. You can put it to high, low, or mid stance, and that'll basically determine how fast you swing the lightsaber, with blue being the fastest, yellow being the middle, and red being the slowest and does the most damage. But of course, if you miss, then you kind of, have, missed your target, and then they can maneuver around you. And the lightsaber battles in this game are really, really good. It also has a sort of mechanic where you can even decapitate or sever limbs from different enemies. And in terms of lightsaber combat, compared to like any other Star Wars game, I'm just kind of thinking about it, this probably has the best lightsaber combat. It feels fluid, it feels smooth, it feels, kind of fair and unfair, when you've missed your swing and when you connect and when you don't. This game also has lightsaber clashes, so you can clash a little bit if you hit each other at the same time. But this is, like, I would say even still to today, the definitive Star Wars game. I remember when games like The Force Unleashed were coming out, I was really excited and hyped for those because I thought it was going to be something like this. And it really was not. The Force Unleashed was kind of created as almost like a Dynasty Warriors-esque game where you just mow down as many opponents as possible. And why you kind of do the same thing here, it's a lot more intimate and personal, and you're not this super overpowered guy that does all these crazy force moves. Everything feels built into the game engine very appropriately. So when you do pull something crazy off, it feels really cool. The array of weapons you also get in this game is also very interesting. My favorite one is probably the flechette rifle that shoots, exploding little rounds that bounce around the place, which of course is really effective against Jedi because they can't dodge those, and they're very, of course, weak to things like rockets and other stuff, because again, you can't deflect those, you can only force push those away, which is a split-second thing that most people can't do. What's also cool is that once you get the lightsaber, you automatically go to a third-person mode, and it really changes your perspective again on the whole style of the world and how it is created. My favorite and most iconic level in this game is probably Nar Shaddaa. You find this guy called Chiss, and he's like this bartender who speaks only in plurals. He says blue skin and red eyes. I don't know why I remember that part so fondly, but it's this very funny section. Kyle is a great character. He's super determined, kind of a man of few words. I just really like him as a character. I think he's a really fun guy to play as, I guess. Nar Shaddaa is also very interesting because it's a series of, this mega metropolis of skyscrapers. And crime and all that stuff. So there's a lot of sections where you'll be sniping or being sniped at. There's weird things where you're going into different apartment buildings. You have to jump onto the garbage compactor that's flying around the city and jump to other platforms. So it has a lot of really interesting just designs in terms of these small buildings you can go inside. Find rare pickups, navigate this sort of cityscape. It's just a lot of fun. It has a lot of life and vibrance in it. However, it is incredibly frustrating when you get sniped from afar and just totally disintegrate without, another chance. That's super frustrating. But yeah, the snipers in this game are also kind of awful in a way. They kind of have this mechanic where they can charge up and do this really strong blast. But what makes them really awful and terrible is the fact that the scope you actually use has a bunch of crap on it, and it's really hard to actually see your target through it, which I find to be pretty funny, frankly. Again, I think it's so cool that you use the D-pad to cycle between all of your different weapons, and then also all of your different force powers, again, from force heal, mind trick, which will make the enemy pause for a moment, push, pull, lightning, everything. It's really, really cool. And yeah, it has a very sort of solid story. It kind of has a nice kind of post episode 6 thing where survive the save the Jedi Order, make it survive. You meet Luke Skywalker. And it's overall, this is definitely one of the best Star Wars games I think I've ever played. A lot of Star Wars games typically have a very high standard, but this one definitely is still up there as one of the really good ones. Another thing I need to mention about this game is what was surprisingly very fun and good about it was the multiplayer. The multiplayer for this game, I've spent so many hours playing the multiplayer because it's absolutely insane. You can choose, first of all, you have a bunch of bots to choose from, so they can join the battle. And so you can create this whole, Jedi war. You can choose, lightsabers only or guns only. My favorite thing to do, I remember, is I would basically go into the Death Star level, and in the hangar area, I would take out the Wookiee bowcaster, and there's this one alternate fire mode where it'll shoot ricochet shots, and so I would just fill that room with a bunch of ricochet shots, and there'd be green lasers just bouncing off the walls, going everywhere. It was crazy. You switch your lightsaber and people would be jumping around, trying to kill each other with lightsabers, running off the walls, doing Matrix style stuff. It was so much fun, so ridiculous, and so cool. The multiplayer for this game I feel is severely underrated, and of course you can probably play it on PC again, but if this released as a full game, even just the multiplayer alone, it would be a massive hit. And also when you did your loadouts, you had a number of force powers to divvy up and choose which powers you're going to get. This was very advanced and very, for its time. It was an amazing game, and I absolutely adore it on so many levels. And it's so interesting that this kind of developed from a Doom clone shooter, and now it's a full 3D action, fighting game. I don't know. I love this game. I think it's really amazing, really cool. And I would really love for other people to also discover it and find out about it. And this is definitely my, I I'd say this would be my, in terms of gameplay, I still like games like, Battlefront, the originals. But in terms of Star Wars games, I think this probably is my favorite. No, it's really hard to say because there's also Knights of the Old Republic. So, man, it's hard to say. Anyway, I think that's it for now, but you get the picture. I love this game. It's great. Definitely a Star Wars must play. And yeah, see you guys later. Bye.